10 friends, welcome back to our channel. Today we're embarking on a special DIY journey at our local home improvement store. Why, you might ask? Well, we're going to show you where you can find the materials to create unique, safe, and fun cage accessories for your chinchilla friends. These little guys have specific needs, and pet store purchase items many times just won't make the cut. So by crafting your own, we ensure quality, avoid harmful substances, and add a personal touch of love. So join me as we explore and select the right items that promise comfort and entertainment for our furry little companions. Let's get started. In the plumbing aisle, you'll find the supplies that you need for making your fleece-covered tubes and your fleece-covered cuddle ledges. You want to look for the 6-inch by 2-foot riser pipes. They're a really thick ABS. This is really good to resist chewing. So if you have real big chewers, typically this thicker pipe, they'll give it a shot, won't be able to chew into it, and we'll leave it alone from that point forward. Of course, it's important to note if they do start chewing it, then you need to remove the fleece cover and replace the fleece cover. If you can't keep them to stop from chewing it, then unfortunately you will not be able to use these items for your chinchilla. But we found that most chinchillas will leave this alone. So in this section is the hardware section, and you'll find the carriage bolts that you need, and washers and nuts to mount your cage accessories to the cage. So what you want to look for in here is 1/4 inch carriage bolts. These are typically a little long, but you can use these for thicker tubes. But this is what you're looking for. This is a carriage bolt. Additionally, they'll have washers in here. So here is a 1/4 inch Fender washer, and you can also get them a little bit wider at other hardware stores, but this is the only size they have at this particular store. And then lastly, we use wing nuts to twist and secure it onto your cage. Typically in this particular hardware store, you have to find them in packages. So you just look through and yep, there we go. You want the 1/4 inch 20 wing nuts. So that is the hardware that you need to mount most of your cage items to your cage. Okay, so this is my guest bedroom, but it's also where I do all of my sewing and fabric crafts in here. So what you'll want to get for any fabric craft that we're doing, or any fabric DIY we're doing on this channel, is you definitely want to have a cutting mat. These plastic ones are really nice because it gives you a nice firm surface to cut on, especially if you're doing it, in an extra spare bedroom or wherever you might be doing it. So I have a bolt of anti-pill fleece in here, and it's really important to use something that doesn't fray, you don't get threads off of in case your chinchilla chews on it. So anti-pill or blizzard is really the safe fabrics to use. So to make your tube cover, you're going to want to find and roll a few parts of the bolt. You're going to want to find the stretchy side, because it's really important that you actually want to have the stretch on the part that's going to go around the tube. So here's our stretchy side. That side you're going to cut 17.5 inches wide. So I'm just going to cut off the edge here, following, and I'm going to go up to 24 inches on the length. Doesn't have to be perfect. You can fix any crooked cuts. You can fix with the sewing machine. And then 17.5 inches wide. And then I'm just going to smoothen up the bottom because the previous cut on this fabric was a little crooked. So we're just, okay, that's it for cutting. You're going to fold it in half And then we're going to just stitch down this side. So this is my sewing machine. You can use any sewing machine from one that you get at Walmart or Joann's or any of those other stores. This one is a Janome Membercraft 6300. I find that this sewing machine is really, really good for like doing several layers of like thick fleece with terry cloth. For example, when I show you guys how to do fleece cage liners, the heavier duty sewing machines help out. But for these, any sewing machine will do. So all we're going to do is, this is the stretchy side again. We're just going to have a straight stitch right down the side. Just going to straighten the bottom up because we're going to hem the bottom. Back stitch, cut your thread, and then we're going to use a zigzag, so you just fold this edge over. We're going to use a zigzag stitch just to do a little hem. So I'm going to switch it over to that. And then we're just going to go all around you. Now you're on the stretchy side, remember, so don't pull. You want to just kind of just let it gently sit on top. Otherwise, you'll end up with a very baggy end. And it won't look as nice on your tube. So just gently hold the fabric, trying really hard not to stretch it. Kind of just keep bunching it up so it doesn't stretch. So now you have this nice edge on this side, and we'll go ahead and do it to the other side.
So here we're going to make a tube, a fleece tube. They're 8 inches long, so basically just take your tube, mark down 8 inches, and then I use my my jig that I use for my cuddle edge for my straight edge. So I'll put that on there, and then just mark my line. And then I can take my bandsaw and cut it, or like I said, you can use also a hacksaw to just cut the pipe in half. Then here you're going to take one more time, you're going to use your tape measure, and you're 8 inches down, so you're going to mark 1.5 inches in and from the top and 1.5 inches from the bottom. So your 1.5 inches there, and your 1.5 inches there, and that's where you're going to drill your holes to put your carriage bolts in. Okay, here we're going to drill our holes for put our carriage bolts in so we can mount it to the cage. We use a 5/16 drill bit because the carriage bolt is a 1/4 inch, so you want to go a little bit larger, and just drill your holes straight through the side. And now you have 2 holes in there.
Okay, so we have all of our supplies here to put together our tube. We've got our fleece tube cover, our 2 carriage bolts, our 2 wing nuts, our washers, our X-Acto knife, and the tube that we cut previously. Your carriage bolts are 1/4 inch. Wing nuts are 1/4 inch by 20. And 1/4 inch washers. The width you get really depends on the size of your cage bars. So if your cage bars are more spread apart, you'll need bigger washers. But your opening should be 1/4 inch. Okay, so we're gonna have Kurt here show you guys how to put this thing together.
So I always take the seam on your cover. I take the seam and I try to line it up close to the holes on the tube. I'll show you why that helps in just a minute. But so you're going to pull it down all the way over the top of the tube. And then you're going to push the rest of the back up through the middle of the tube. And then you want to do the same thing. You line up your seam with your seam on the outside and pull it down over the top. And then you just tuck it underneath. You get it so it's somewhat even around, and now you go back and you find your seam because you got to find those holes that you drilled in there. So you just take your fingers and you find that I put them right there. So there's my 2 holes, and then you take your X-Acto knife and you want to punch through the hole, but just make sure that you don't poke your finger on the other side. And once you cut the fabric, then you take your carriage bolt and you run it through the hole. Put your wing nut on there, and then you do the same thing to the other side. Find that hole again, poke it through, just to make sure you cut it on both sides, the fabric on both sides. Run your carriage bolt through there, put on your fender washer, and it's all together, and now you're ready to hang it on your cage.